Okay, so up to the Mishnah, the bottom of Tezvav Amid Aleph. Okay, so let's jump in. B'chol osin l'chayin. Okay, with you can make a lechi with any type of material. I feel bit of a sheish b'ruachayim. Even if the thing you want to make a lechi with, I think you had a picture. Remember that picture with the donkey, right? So you should be looking. I don't know the number, but if Yitzi can get it on the screen, 212, right? So I'm not sure if you want the. Okay, 1 second. Yeah. So I'm not sure if you want the animal people to get wind of that, but the end of the day is if you make a lechi out of a donkey or out of an animal, it's kosher. Rav Meir Oser. Rav Meir says nothing doing. Umitami Shemgol. And not only that, but you also, if you are going to use, if an animal is used as a covering, okay, over a mace, okay, right now, it's obviously not going to stay that way forever, but that is right now your makeshift covering for the corpse. And we know that coverings hold tumah within, okay, and they themselves contract tumah. So normally a Baal Chai would not contract tumah, but maybe as a mace covering as a tomb, it would contract tumah. So he's saying it does. That a dead animal is considered a tomb, and it's able to transmit tumah, and a half tumah be able to be tameh, even though typically an animal cannot. While Rav Meir continues his arguing of this issue and feels no, an animal is not fit for that particular function, and Rav Meir Mitayr as we turn the page. And finally, v'kaisvin alav gitei nashim, you're allowed to write a get on a living animal and give that to your wife and say harayat mugaresh esli. Okay, I'm not sure the message you're sending with that one, but you're allowed to do it if you decide to put a get on the side of a cow, and I don't know. Well, cow might be tough because I don't know if you can give that to your wife, but whatever. Rav Yosef Glili postal. Rav Yosef Glili seems to get on the Rav Meir bandwagon here and says no, you cannot do that. It's a different Tana here, but the same argument as pretty much as Rav Meir was saying before. Okay, so we got three different issues. Let's do the Rashi now. Rashi says, bottom two lines of Rashi, Umatama Mishim Golel, Imoso Golel Lekever, if you make the animal a covering, a tomb for a grave, Mitama La'olam Bioel Kames Atzmo. Okay, it will become always Tameh like the mace himself, which is basically the tomb has a higher level of tumah than anything else, and it seems to take on the property of the mace itself. Kameis atzmo, v'afilu nitel misham. Even if you take it away from there, the Tanya Perek Behema Makasha, Kol Shiga Al Pnei Asadel Rabbi's Goylel V'Dofek. So basically, the tomb takes on. These are laws that are related to tumah, but obviously because we're going to be talking about animals as relates to lechi, which is where we started. So we throw in these other halachas as well, but they take on a higher level of the mace itself. Apparently, these are special halachas that relate to the tomb cover. I'm not sure what the dofik is right now. But maybe I'll look that up. But I didn't remember. Didn't see it right now. But the golel is the tomb. And I'm not sure what. Like I said, I'm not sure what the dofik is. Okay, but it take. Oh, I see. Okay, fine. Thank you. So, fine. So the goal and the dofik take on a higher level as a mace itself, and has the ability to transmit. It seems like it even has the ability to transmit tumah through an oel, even though they're not. It's not the mace. I mean, because they are servicing the mace, they become like the mace and seem to have that ability even when they're not mamish together with the mace. I feel nitim l'sham. Rashi says even if you remove it, they still take on that higher level because that's what they served in their earlier capacity. So they take on a whole, higher level, and they are able to transmit the tumah even if they're not mamish in front of on top of the mace anymore. Okay, so and then Rashi, as we turn the page, we're on the officially Tesvav of the days now. Rav Meir Mitaher, the time of the Rav Meir Mefarsh B'Sechas Sukkah, V'Kulu Mishum Nikasava Kol Mechitza Medes Beruach Chaim Eina Mechitza. Okay, and the Gemara there explains in Sukkah that any mechitza, any partition uh, that is that needs life to sustain itself, that it's really not a set partition, because if you're living, you have the ability to move, and you can't call yourself a real partition. It's not set. It's not doesn't have that permanency to it at all. He says it's not a mechitza. So the living factor, as far as the mayor is concerned, says it doesn't work. Okay, so it doesn't work because the first two cases of the lechi and the case of the golel are, in a sense, structures that serve to protect and serve to separate. So if it's a living being, it will not do that. It will not serve that function. The last issue is really a different type of issue, and that's why maybe it's not reveya, because you can't say the issue of a get has to do with mechitza. The issue of a get has a totally different lumdus behind it, but I guess since we're talking about living animals, we threw it in over here as well. Okay, fine. So let's proceed. Seems yeah, right. So we'll start with Rav Meir's position. Tanya, we learn the Bryce as follows: Rav Meir Aimer called Avashesh Baruchaim in Osno Solo Dolphin Lesuka V'Lechi Lemavui V'Loi Pasin Libiros V'Lo Gola Lekever. Okay, so 4 areas that Rav Meir said that if it's living, if this mechitza you're trying to erect or make is a living organism or living being, then they don't work. Not for the wall of a sukkah, not for a lechi, not for a mavid. These are all things we're aware of, and not for pasim biros, which we've also discussed many times. The pasim biros are those cropped out areas to draw water from the well into a Rishus HaYachid. So you crop out those 4 L-shaped corners like you're cropping out a picture, and you're allowed to take the water out of the well. But if you want to use a living being, a living animal for that purpose, that's not acceptable. Okay, Mishum Rabbi Yosef Glili Amru Af Ein Kaisov Git Enoshim, and Rabbi Yosef Glili says, for good measure, let me throw in the get. So here we have again Rabbi Yosef Glili sort of getting on the anti-animal bandwagon by get when it comes to the get. Okay, let's say it again.
We don't hold this way. I mean, we have all these other mishnayos that say you can't use an animal for something. You can't use an animal for a get. You can. I mean, like, so he's going against the teachings elsewhere in the Gemara.
Well, I mean, there's no elsewhere in the Gemara that's going to be stronger than a Mishnah, and here's another or a Brisa. So, I mean, at the end of the day, but again, you're saying you saw the place that say you cannot or you can.
You can.
Well,
in other words, the sukkah, it's a famous case with the sukkah where you can use.
Okay, so that's the Tanakama. So that's the machlokes we have in the Mishnah. So whenever you see a case, and if it goes after the Chachamim, that's not a kasha. The Chachamim are the mainstream opinion. So if we pass like the Chacham that they're valid, so that's fine. But Rav Meir or Rabbi Yosef Glili has every right as a Tana to argue with another Tana. So whatever you find in the Gemara can have more authority than what you're looking at right now, which is a Mishnah. So that's not an issue. The fact that it happens to be written in Shulchan Aruch just simply means we pass like the Chachamim, but it's not a kasha. Okay, let's do the Rashi. Lo gola lekever kloimar, meaning to say, imoso golel, if you make a living animal, the tomb, the covering for the kever of a human being, ein shem golel chal olav l'tamei. that does not become tamei. It does not have the name of a golel. If you are officially a tomb cover, then you become tamei. But you never get the status of being a tomb cover because of the fact that you're a living organism, a living being. Okay, golel hu kisu shosen daf alames. Okay, the golel is a covering. You put some kind of some kind of plank or some kind of a board or some kind of something over the mace to cover it as you bury it. That is the golel, and that normally becomes tamei, but not in this case. Okay, not according to Rav Meir, and Rav Yosef Lili adds the halacha by the sefer. By the Sefer Creatures. So let's go back to the Gemara now. Let's go through this. This is really a Gemara for Gittin, but why not Chazar Gittin every once in a while? So this is a very good Chazara for Gemara Gittin. Some of the issues that we discussed there. So back to the Gemara. My time at Rabbi Yosef Lili. So for some reason the Gemara feels they want to jump into Rabbi Yosef Lili now. We sort of, I guess it's pretty clear, the lechi stands for itself in terms of its positioning. I hold you can't. The Chum say you could use a behemoth, and he says you can't. So let's see. So my time, Rabbi Yosef Lili. Why does Rabbi Yosef Lili say that you cannot use an animal for a get? The Tanya, because it says in the Brisa, safer, right? Because of law, safer creases. That word safer, Eliel is safer. I would think all you can give her is a piece of parchment paper with a get written on it. Minayla Rabbi's called of, or how do I know you can include any matter? Anything could be valid for a get, even a goat, okay, even a chicken. So how do I know you can include anything? Because of law, okay. So the Torah writes because of law. The word law implies anything you write, no matter what it is, it's valid. You can write it on a bottle. You can write it on whatever. It's all good. You don't need a cloth. You don't need a parchment, which would be implied by that word safer. Okay, is safer. So why use the word safer? If anything's good, if a bottle is good and anything else is good, maybe at this point, till we get to the next step, why, if everything is good, why not just write the kosav? Why do you have to write kosav or safer? So to teach me, so the quality of a safer is that it has no life. Okay, does not eat, does not consume. So too, something which does not have life and does not eat. That's something that is valid. But if it does have life and if it does eat, okay, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't say doesn't eat, and it's not a food. It's because an animal is a food. It's a double aspect. Not only does it not live, it can't be living, it can't be edible, it can't be food. So the Sefer does indeed teach me, like Rabbi Yosef Lili says, and this is the answer to the question. Give me the logic of Rabbi Yosef Lili. He darshans from the word Sefer that it can't be a food and it can't be living. Okay, so whether it's a piece of steak or whether it's a live cow, either way, it does not work. Okay.
Do we consider plants alive?
Not as far. I don't think as far as this is concerned. No. I think that would be good. But again, but there's another halacha about plants that you can't separate it from the time that you wrote it. You have to first, cut off the plant and then write the get. You can't write the get and then cut it off from the ground. That's a different halacha.
But like one of the examples is they write a get on bark. One of the examples is that you can write a get on bark of a tree. So if bark is considered live, it's the plant.
Yeah, no. So right. Right. So I don't think it's not considered live in that regard. You just have to you'd have to cut the bark off before you write the get. That's the only thing. Okay. So basically this drasha is the drasha of Rabbi Yosef Lili that safer, the quality of a safer is it's not alive, it's not food, and therefore, if you're an animal, you can't be used as a get. Let's just catch up on the Rashi's here for a minute. Safer, okay, the last wide line of Rashi, because of a safer creases. So the Torah says you have to write for her a document of severing. You sever the relationship with this document. Sefer mashma klaf. So that word sefer is mashma parchment. K'diksiv ani kosev ala sefer b'jo. Vada korle Megillah. Okay, because it says in Yirmiyahu the word sefer with ink, and then it talks about a Megillah, which is parchment. Achrei Saraf Hamelech as a Megillah. Okay, after the king burnt the Megillah, so you see that sefer is referring to a Megillah. Megillah is referring to cloth, to a parchment, and therefore the simple implication of that word cloth does imply that word sefer implies cloth, implies parchment. The way we have a sefer Torah, and the way we have mezuzah and tefillin. So let's see here. So you have a custom, I think, is Viter. Okay, so let's wrap the rest of the Gemara up till the Mishnah, then we'll catch up on the Rashis. Rabbanon, right? So obviously the question is, Rabbanon hold that an animal is good. So the Rabbanon hold an animal is good for a get. How do you explain this drasha of Sefer? Rabbanon miksiv bas Sefer. Okay, does the Torah say bas Sefer, which would have implied an item similar to a Sefer, which would have limitations? Sefer ksiv. It doesn't even say bas Sefer, which would have had that implication of a cloth. It's just Sefer. L'sfiris dvarim ba'alma hudasa. It's just coming to tell you that the get needs to be a story, needs to be telling you a particular, sort of a dialogue or a formula of words that are used to sever the relationship. L'sfiris dvarim ba'alma hudasa. Okay, so so basically, I don't seem to buy into your whole notion that it's got to be a klaf. If it's got to be a klaf, it should have said bas sefer. Since it says sefer, so it's just the message is there's a story that must be told in every get, and the basic story is harei at muteres l'chol adam. You have to, you are now permissible to every man, and you obviously have to put in the names of the people and the rest of the information. But Rabbana hai v'kosav lo my darshavei, but the Kosav law, which he used to teach me that there's a limitation. What does he do with that limitation? According to you, Rabbanan, you don't have any limitations. So what do you do with the Kosav law? The answer is only boile b'ksiva megareshes ve'ena megareshes b'kesef. There is a message of the Kosav law, but it's not to teach me that you cannot use an animal. It's to teach me that you cannot divorce your wife by giving her a different ring or some other item of kesef. Just like you, in a sense, acquired her under the chuppah with a ring, maybe you can unacquire her or disacquire her with that same type of ring or some type of valuable item worth a pruta that would send her away. Maybe it's the same mechanism. Why? I would have thought since there is a comparison made between get and kedushin, between the going out and the going in, I would have said mavai bekesef af yitzir bekesef kamash v'lod. So I would have made that drasha just like you go out with kesef, you go in with kesef. I'm sorry, just like you go in with kesef, you go out with kesef. How do I know not to make that drasha, which is a valid comparison? We do compare get and kedushin in other areas. So I might think to compare it in this area as well. The chiddush is no, you cannot compare it. It's not a fair comparison. Why not? Because of the word v'kosav law. Okay, that it's only here, you're right, again, b'ksiva megareshes, v'en megareshes b'kesef. That the only way to divorce your wife is with ksiva. Rabbi Yosef Glili, hi svar minole. So how does Rabbi Yosef Glili know this halacha of being divorced only with kesef, only with ksiva, not with kesef? It's an important drasha. Otherwise, I'd make the mistake to think that you can divorce your wife with money. So the answer is nafkalim is sefer krisus. Okay, because there's another expression called sefer krisus. To teach me that sefer krisus, that those two words, sefer krisus, teaches me sefer korsa ve'en dava acha korsa. So I already have a different mechanism because the sefer krisus, okay, teaches me that there's no other mechanism other than get to sever the relationship. So I get to the exact same place with a slightly different mechanism. So you learn it out from sefer. I learn it out from sefer krisus.
Don't you have the mission that says there's three ways to get married and two
Yeah, but how do you think the Mishnah knew that? The Mishnah knew that because of these drushes. The Mishnah needed a way to determine it. So if you remember, go back to Gittin and see how did the Mishnah know this. This is how the Mishnah knew it, right? So pretty much everything you're learning in the Gemara is all dependent on these drushes that we're doing right now. It's not a halacha moshe misina. You can't just take things at face value. You've got to find the source. I mean, sometimes it is. Sometimes it is a halacha, but when it is, the Gemara tells you that it is.
Right, so if they went on the day, they can't quote the Mishnah here that says...
It does. What do you mean? It does. If you go through the Gemara there, you will see these drushes appearing there.
Just quote the Mishnah that says there's 3 ways to get married and 2 ways to get out of a marriage.
Yeah, and then you go through the Gemara, and the Gemara says, how do you know that? Why not this? Why not that? Why not this? Why not that? It's all this is explained in those Gemaras. Absolutely. Okay, the Mishnah just gives you the bottom line. The Gemara gives you the backstory. So, you need to know the sources. Okay. I mean, exactly over here. Like the Gemara says right here, Rabbi Yosef Glili makes a statement, and now the Gemara says, my time, Rabbi Yosef Glili. So these Gemaras are all over the place. And these types of Gemaras are all, and this Gemara in particular happens to be probably both in Gittin and Kedushin, I think, but for sure one of them. But yes, the Gemara this is there. Okay. So high sefer Rabbanan high sefer krisus my. So now the question is: so if you used sefer krisus to teach me that you cannot get divorced with money, so that pasuk is now extra according to Rabbanan, because Rabbanan already learned that from a different source. So what do they do with sefer krisus? This is very common. We go back and forth with these extra psukim. Rabbanan, what do Rabbanan do with this sefer krisus? Rabbanan high sefer krisus. Rabbanan need the sefer krisus to teach me a different halacha, that the way you divorce a woman needs to be a complete severing. There can't be any strings attached between the wife and the husband. Look at the Tanya, like we learned in the Brisa. If a man says, here's your get, on the condition that you don't drink wine, we don't ever go back to your father's house, ain't that krisis? That's not a divorce. Because 50 years later you can drink wine and everything retroactively goes back. You cannot give a get that's open-ended that could forever be undone. It's got to be clear that when it's severed, it's severed, and the twain shall never meet. Okay. On the other hand, if you say kol shoshim yom, you say you can't drink wine or go back to your father's house for 30 days. So that's what you call an end. There's an end to that severing. In other words, you can determine with absolute certainty that this will be a severing after 30 days. Hareze krisus. That's called krisus. So this halacha, which is a critical halacha of how the language of the get needs to work and the condition that you give, that's learned out from sefer krisus. So that's what the Rabbanan learn out from that word. So they got everything covered right now. Now Rabbi Yosef Glili is the odd man out, because how does he learn this concept that Davra Koris ben Olavinoah needs to be a complete severing? So Rabbi Yosef Glili nafkale mikores krisus, because he learned it from a sort of a double language. It says sefer krisus instead of sefer kores. Okay, so kores krisus, you got 2 drushes from one word. Rabbanon Koris Krisus Lo Darshe. And Rabbanon don't agree with that. The Rabbanon don't feel you can get 2 things out of one word. Krisus is available for 1 drasha, not 2. So it all ends perfectly fine with the extra drasha of Rabbi Yosef Glili, basically being able the extra drasha of the Rabbanon being able to be covered by the double word. And the Rabbanon don't need a double word, so all is good. Okay, let's catch up on the Rashis here. Let's see here. Sefer. We did that. Minayil Rabbi's called over. Shichtov Aget. How do you know that any other thing other than klaf is valid to write on a get? So the answer is from Sefer and because of anything. So if that's the case, so what do you need Sefer for? So he says, Iya v'kosav lo krisus ba Sefer This is Rabbanan answering back there. You had the Torah written, the word you should write for her a severing in a sefer, in a document. So if you wrote it that way, have you mashma Megillah, that would have implied a klaf. That's what this Rabbanan talking back to Rabbi Yosef Glili. That would be legit as far as we're concerned to imply that you need a klaf, and now you need something to tell you don't do a klaf. Avohashad iksiv sefer, but now that it says, doesn't say bas sefer, it says sefer. High sefer sfiras varmu. This sefer only implies, it's a story. It's words that communicate a message. V'achi mashma. And this is what the Torah implies. Because of what divrei krisus, you shall write for her the story of separation, the story of severing between the husband and wife. You write down this story of the get, that Yankel divorces Leah. But the Torah never set up a set place where you write the get and how you write the get. And from that it implies from anything you want to write, you can write. You want to write it this way, you want to write it that way, either way, everything is good. No issues. Okay, very good. So because of law. So the question is, what does Rabbi Yosef Glili do with V'kosav law? Okay, V'kosav law my Darish Bey. So actually, no, this is still on the Rabbanon. Kivan the sefer lav klaf mashma. Once the word sefer in your mind doesn't imply a klaf, mela lav klaf mashma, mela haloi kava le klaf. Okay, so by definition, that means there was never a designation originally of a parchment. According to Yosef Glili, you start with a parchment, you have to undo the message of the parchment. Here, according to Rabbanan, there was no initial message of the parchment. L'chol davar mashma. Okay, and it implies anything is good for a get. V'lama leila michtav kosav l'rabbi's kol davar. Lichtav v'nosan lo sefer krisis. Just say, okay, just write a sefer krisis. What do you have to write v'kosav lo? Okay, and the answer is to teach me now. If you're all bothered, what do you mean? One v'kosav lo? Doesn't v'kosav lo teach me the famous drasha of v'kosav lo l'shma? Right? We all remember the good old Gittin days where a get needed to be written l'shma, and the basis of that l'shma was v'kosav lo. So Tosas points out that there are two. The third Tosas on the page says even though you need l'shma v'kosav l'shma. Okay, trey v'kosav ksivi. There are two v'kosav laws written. So the Gemara asks about the second one, not about the first one. So you need one for v'kosav law l'shma, and you need a second one for this drasha. You're right. You have the second one, therefore you need to come up with a drasha. So what do you do with it? That you needed to teach me v'kosav you only can get divorced with ksiva, with writing a document. Ve'en miskareshes bekesef. If a man gives a woman money, and the man says, with this money, I hereby divorce you, so please, you're free to marry anybody you want, it will not work. I would have a having that would work, but Kosovo teaches me it doesn't work. Why would I think it?
You lost me there. I missed it.
Well, we said it before too, so I guess you missed it twice. In other words, okay. So, in other words, listen. Well, the reason why I would think so. Let's just read the next Rashi, because it says v'hoiselish acher hayda kedushin. Right now, there is a comparison in the Torah between divorce and between marriage. The Torah makes that comparison. So maybe the Torah makes a comparison in the same way that you can divorce the same way you can marry. Just like you can marry in the same way you can divorce with a document. I know you didn't, okay, when you gave Steffi, when you were Makadish Steffi, you Makadish her with Kesef, but could you have given her a document? The answer is yes. You could have given her a document and you could have said, Harayat Mukadeshesli on a piece of paper and given it to her. So, just like there's a comparison between divorce and marriage on the way in, I would say there's a comparison between divorce and marriage on the way out. And just like you can go in with one. Now I know it runs counter to your kishkis that you should divorce a woman by giving her money. But what about ksuba? What about alimony? What about all the other things that we associate money and divorce? So it shouldn't sound so crazy, especially somebody living in California, okay, that you have to pay money to get rid of your wife.
Got it.
Okay, right? So the silence was deafening, but okay, fine. So okay.
In California nowadays, it's also she has to pay you to get rid of you.
Okay, fair enough. But I know one thing: money's flying in every direction. That I know. Okay, because if I had a dollar for every excuse that divorce was the reason why people can't pay tuition, I'd be pretty wealthy today. Okay, so therefore, you figure somebody should pay the tuition, but it's okay. No problems. Anyway, so uh, so the point is that I might think that the wife can be divorced with kesef, okay? Because it says v'hoisel ish acher hainu kedushin yotze v'hoisa. Okay, she goes out and she goes out and she becomes married. So you see,
Well, then what you said, you should divorce her by all three methods of marrying her. If you use that logic.
I guess well, there's only two because B already that doesn't make any sense. I think the Gemara there says, well, shtar does work. You do divorce a woman with shtar.
Works. So as you say, the other two. I mean, if you're making that comparison, that would be all three ways then.
I think the Gemara. I think the Gemara discusses B, and I think the Gemara says by B it just not doesn't make sense. How could you have sexual relations on your way out? It doesn't make any sense.
I agree with you, it doesn't make sense, but I mean, once you're saying that if you're comparing how you get into a marriage to how you get out of a marriage.
Okay, well listen. Like I said, the Gemara deals with it. The Gemara answers it. So if you don't like the answer, yeah, you work on the answer in Gemara Gittin. But right now, that's the Gemara deals with it. The Gemara does talk about that issue. But I think that's what the Gemara says. Okay, ma havaya. 1 second, yeah. Ma havaya bekesef. The Gemara b'meseches kedushin kicha misteyafron. Just like when you get married to a woman, you use money to marry a woman. So I might think without this pasuk that you can use money to divorce a woman. Sefer Krisos. Okay, so how do you know that, Rabbi Yosef Glili? From the Sefer Krisos, meaning Krisos Samuch LeSefer. Okay, so what do you, the Rabbanan, do with the Sefer Krisos? Next Rashi, is Beino Leveino. Shaliyatil Tanai beget. Okay, don't put a condition on a get shiksharem yachad that should tie the two of them together forever. There's got to be something which at one point or another must completely sever the relationship. You can't have loose ends hanging forever. Okay, so let's see here. Final Rashi. La'olam ain't a crease. If you do it forever, it's not creases. The kol yemeh kshurabo. Okay, because then all the days shall be tied to him. Shemach masa hi nimnas milishos yayin. Okay, because forever, because of him, she will be prohibited and she'll never be able to drink wine. With Tanai that totally v'holech le'olam, and this Tanai hangs over her forever. Vein's avdol. It's not called avdol. It's not called a separation when you have something hanging over you all your life. But if it's only 30 days, I raise a crisis. Miyad trade divrei Abdullah heilasov shoshim yom. Because that becomes a separation after 30 days. And teres miyad lishacher. And at that point, even though you have to wait 30 days, well, I guess you have to wait. Okay. I guess Rashi says it's muteris miyad. Does it mean miyad after 30 days or miyad the minute you get the get? I guess technically, retroactively, the get will be enforced from the day that it was given. So technically, any kedushin that was done immediately after would be a valid kedushin as long as the condition was kept for those 30 days. Okay, Bez Hashem, we'll pick it up live tomorrow at the next Mishnah. Shkayach.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.